Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Claus Connect. It's March 30th, and I am Shawn White, and I am so glad to be back. I have missed all of you. We are going to give a couple minutes here to get our audience together and have everybody join us. Hello, Mary. It's nice to see you. We've got some new stuff this season. Hello, Mike and Bill. We've got a great guest tonight that I'm really excited to introduce and have you meet him. He's quite wonderful. We're just going to give it just a little bit of time to see if we can get some more people on here. It's been it seems like it's been forever since I've been on here. And the season was so long ago, but really it wasn't, I guess. Just been busy. Here we go. Hello, Kane, Bill, Mike. Our wonderful producer, Angela, is helping us out tonight as usual, thankfully. Randy. Hi, Randy. I heard you just went on a cruise. Hi, Don. Santa Adam, hello. We're just going to give it a little bit more time. I am Shawn White, Mrs. Claus Vintage, and this is the Claus Connect. Empowering the North Pole is what we do here and on the Facebook page. So if you haven't, you don't belong to that group, please join that group. Hello, Paul and John. Thanks for joining us tonight. Purpose of the show, I just want to go through this for maybe some new people that might be on this or watch it later even. It's to be authentic and have authentic conversation. Learning from different professions and places, discovering our shared humanity is the point of it all, because we learn from each other. So tonight, I'm going to start something new. The beginning of each show, I'm going to say some lyrics from a song, and I would like for you all to try to guess what song this comes from, and maybe the year, if you can throw that in, that would be great. So here we go. I would, let me do one thing real quick here. Okay. The lyric tonight, I hope you know the song. Why do birds suddenly appear? Now, what song does that come from? Who sings that? Do you know that? Write it in the comments if you do. It's a classic. It's a beautiful song. And I will now tell you where this comes from, this idea that I would like to start all the shows with this. It is a bridge of humanity. The idea comes from Judge Middleton, and he's from St. Joseph, Michigan. He has a live stream in his courtroom constantly, all the time, every day, and he starts it out with lyrics just to bring everybody together. And I thought that was such a great idea that I would carry it over and, of course, credit him with this amazing thing. It's much like, it reminds me of Mr. Rogers and a Mr. Rogers type of thing, which he's a great judge. So, real quick, I'll say hello, Sal. And let's see if we have anybody else on here. Betsy, hi, Betsy. Okay. With that, we'll just keep that going. If anybody can answer that question, why do birds suddenly appear? What song does that come from? If you could put that in the comments, we'll get back with that. With this, some of you know I have been involved in a musical, and I do the musicals beginning of the year. This is something that Betsy and I talk about in our classes. Self-improvement, self-help, whatever you want to call it, all the things that you do outside of the entertainment world that build your character and help you, challenge you, brings a lot more skills to the stage when you are performing. So I do the musicals. This year I was in Mary Poppins, and we had a very large cast of 140-ish people, just a few adults, and lots of students. There was quite a few adults backstage working this year. So with that, for the second year, I performed with our guest today, Doug Hutt. He is a great guy. He's a great dad. Great kids. Loved being around his children, his girls. We did a lot of crazy stuff during this musical. A lot of hard work, but it never seemed hard because it was fun. And so with that, I would like to introduce Doug Hutt, my actor friend.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the Claus Connect. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate that. I would like for you to introduce yourself, please. Tell us a little bit about you, Doug.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sean. I really appreciate the chance to come on here and, talk a bit and, kind of communicate, stuff we've experienced and, some things from there. About me, I did a lot of acting back when I was younger, especially about 20 years ago now, so it dates me a bit, but I did a lot of like community theater and things of that nature. We did a lot of shows, including like All American Christmas, which was a big one where we did a variety show where people bring in cans of non-perishable goods as tickets instead of paying for it, so that we could give back to the community. And we did every number of musical number you could think for Christmas, plus having Santa there. Or I played Frosty a number of years back then, and all that. A lot was dealing with the community and things of that nature. That was mostly in high school. Then in college, I did some stuff as well. I worked both on stage and off stage productions there, and learned a lot during that period of how to kind of progress with developing characters and becoming better at working with my other actors. I also did stuff for some of the Ren fairs. I did some work with a living history performance. So we would go each weekend and actually be part of a living Viking village. So you had to stay in character from as soon as the fair started until it ended. So we're talking, 10 hours of staying in character and portraying somebody and living in their world and trying to show people who have no experience with it what it means and kind of how that changed how their views were and how times in their life would affect things. It was a lot of fun. But, recently I got back into it. So it started actually before our last show, Mamma Mia. My daughter was in a show of Descendants, and so I helped backstage, and it was set building and helping, run stuff on stage and stuff, different scenes. And I started getting this itch. I'm like, oh no, I really, really missed this. And so the opportunity came last year to do Mamma Mia, which again was a fantastic show. Again, massive cast, a ton of kids. And you got to see all of these kids who've never actually experienced theater yet. And they're this kind of excitement and this kind of like awakening to a whole new world to theater. And so that was a really nice kind of touch into that. And then I realized, I have missed this. And working as an extra on that as one of the parents, I realized I need to get back into it. And between that and a friend of mine kind of kicking my butt saying, hey, we need to, get back on stage and you really should be doing this. I participated in a local show of Hunchback of Notre Dame. And so that was fun because I went into it with no expectations and said, hey, I'll audition to see what I get. And I ended up getting the romantic lead for the show. And so
I know, it's amazing.
Major character. Yeah. And
I was so happy for you.
I appreciate that. Yeah. It was a huge kind of kickstart back into things. And I'm like, oh, yeah, not only am I used to doing all the backstage stuff and being extra, now I'm center stage and doing these, solos and duets and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is what I missed. And I realized, like, for years, I've kind of neglected this play part of myself. Getting to play a character and experience these things, and then I got to go back into it and realize, oh, this is what I missed, and it's
Yeah.
kind of reconnecting with that bit of it. And since then, I've done a number of shows. There's a local theater troupe who does. They take shows that new writers have started writing, and so they'll do either test readings or they'll do actual performances of it to kind of bring those scripts to life. And I did one was Descent or was sorry was the Cataracts, which is a different show. It was about kind of a man trying to find himself with his wife's elderly aunt comes to live with them, and so it's kind of dealing with mortality and his parents getting older, and him kind of handling with both. And then I've also done a number of cabarets. So last year I did a Halloween cabaret, which was a lot of fun, and it was a very different way of going from you're on stage for however long, hour, 2 hours, 3 hours for a show to hey, you're up doing your number, and you're off. So you have enough time to step on stage, get in character, do your song, and then get off. And you've got to pack everything you can into maybe 5 minutes, whereas normally you'd have a whole lot of time to stretch that out to really play with the character.
Interesting.
hmm And then since then, obviously, we just did Mary Poppins, and that was fantastic. One, it was so great to see all these kids again and watch them grow from year to year and watch them develop as actors and as people. And then to work with the parents because we had new people that came in this year that weren't there last year. So I show them the lay of the land and getting everyone to kind of start playing and figuring out who they are. And it was a lot of fun. I think it was good not only for us doing it again, but also having the kids see us come back again and knowing we're stable people and
Yep.
that they count us. So that's a big thing. Beyond that, I got some future stuff coming up. So I have another cabaret this month. So that's a no filters adult show. So it's a little more risque. It's a little more not risque in terms of anything crazy. Just the language is a little more adult.
Yeah.
And then in September, I'm doing a show called The Guys, which is a tribute to 9/11. And so it's between a fire chief and a writer. And it comes just on the tail of 9/11 happening. We have to write the eulogies for all of these firefighters who had passed away, struggling with trying to deal with his grief, but at the same time, give these eulogies to their families and giving them closure as well. So it's going to be a very interesting show that I will talk to you about later.
Yeah, that's amazing. That one's going to be amazing. So you talk a lot about working with children, and I think there's a lot of bridges for having you on here with the people that are watching that work with children that are Santa Clauses or Mrs. Clauses or elves or whatever. Tell me a little bit about working with the children a little bit deeper. Because there's kind of, I don't want to say an art to it, but there's a way about it that because sometimes, and I know at the beginning, even year after I've seen the children, it takes a little bit of warming up to the kids before they are depending on you and all that type of stuff and leaning on you. Tell me anything that you want to fill in with what I'm saying that helps that grow. That might help these people that are just seeing children for a few minutes, first time,
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing, especially with working with kids, is that a lot of times, with being an adult and working with children, they'll start to see you first as kind of an authority figure, but there's part of it when you're playing a role, especially a role that's supposed to be somebody who is kind of a mythical figure. There's some expectations there, but the biggest thing is kind of developing trust. I think is the biggest part of it for me. I know for us with working these shows, it takes, I mean, at least a couple of weeks before the kids really started coming up to us and really connecting. And then once they did, oh, hey, this is somebody who's safe, or this is somebody who isn't going to be, necessarily too stern, but like we're always like solid with them, but there's always boundaries. But there's still that room to kind of play and grow with it. I think that was a big part of that with working with kids.
Yeah.
I think the same thing was true. I mean, when I was doing backstage work with Descendants, where I wasn't necessarily like on stage with the kids, but hey, you guys need to be in your spot, and it was talking with authority, but also gently. It's that
Kindness,
kindness.
kindness.
That's the right word. They have that kindness of, hey, look, like guys, I know you're talking, but we gotta be quiet because the show's going on. We gotta make sure we're
Yeah.
respectful of everybody out there, and kind of sharing, not only the kindness between us, but whoever's on stage or whoever's performing. And that was a big part of that was acting almost as a teacher to kind of help them see, hey, us being loud backstage may affect everybody else on stage, and then if I'm back there, I don't want someone else to do the same thing. So it was a lot of different hats we kind of wore back then.
That's why
And
I think you and I connected a lot. Just big the stuff we'd hear around us by maybe other adults interacting, and then we would just look at each other and be like, "Oh boy,
right.
not say a thing," and we would
Nope.
just keep on the good side of the child,
Hmm.
or the children would come to me and I'm like, don't ask me for stuff because I'm a rule breaker and you're going to get in trouble. And then they would laugh and then they, was trying to get their trust and that type of stuff. But um, that's what I do appreciate a lot of that. The looks, we would just look at each other like, oh my gosh, maybe be nice to the child and they might listen a little bit better, any of the ages. Or the other thing is, I know at the beginning there was some little ones that sat with me at the school when we rehearsed. They were cold. They had little shorts, and I ended up getting a scarf and wrapping around one of them. Well, she fell in love with me the whole show, and that was all that it took. And just those little things I did, which you did that type of stuff.
Hmm.
But I think the kindness, the trust, getting down on their level, which is what we try to tell entertainers. Don't come across strong and scared children. Your voice and the level that
Hmm.
you use is really important too. So some good stuff to know. Um, let's see. I know that you talked a little bit just now about your why of performing and why you wanted to be back on stage. Um, this is a lot, which is amazing. What I taught when I was in Minnesota was I was teaching people their why. I wanted them to really think about why they want to be around these children, or performing or just in a mall or whatever they're doing. It's something that's really important, I feel, to keep you on the right track and to do better for yourself and for the children. So I appreciate the stuff that you were just saying because it really fit nicely with that. So with that, I would like to run some photos of you, and then we're going to move into some talk about presence on the stage and acting, to help folks that are on here. So with that, Angela, if you would run some show pictures of Doug, please.
Oh, scuba!
Okay, gotta explain that picture, the video.
Oh, that
We,
last one, yeah. Oh, those kids.
we were just being silly, and the teenagers loved that. And that is actually what did they call it? Scuba diving? Is that what
Or
they?
something. That's all I've got was the word scuba from him. So I'm assuming
Okay,
it's something to do with,
scuba.
yeah. That's all I ever got out of them. I got the full scoop on it yet, but they loved it. They were trying to do it every time
Yeah,
like backstage, like one side would be trying to get their side doing it, and we were so happy when you did it for them. So
I know, and I didn't. I'm always feeling like I'm gonna be tricked, but we just did it anyways, and nothing really happened, so I'm okay. So yeah, we were on the stage. It was a very large stage at the college, and we were on behind the curtains. You and I think, and some other adults, and then on the other side, we can see across the stage before we step onto the stage. So we had both sides doing it to each other, and the teenagers absolutely loving what we were doing. So that was fun stuff. We were fun adults, I guess you could say.
mhm.
Okay, so those are really cool pictures, and I like to see that Kevin Rogers too is one of the writers of that show.
Yeah, yep.
I look forward to talking to him about that. Um, so, stage presence. Now, I know that this happened. I think, okay, I will just be honest with the world here. I missed a few rehearsals because of traveling and being in Minnesota and this and that. So I would come back, and I always do this to myself. It's really hard, and I have to learn very fast what I missed. And I remember saying to you, we were on the stage. We'd just been dancing step in time, I think,
Hmm.
and a lot of moves. And I remember saying to you, I can't wait till we just don't have to do learning all these steps. And you said, it's time to just play. We need to play, which means just do some acting. And I remember that, and I probably always will, because that was true. I just wanted to have fun and act and improv, and but the hard work you have to do too. So
Right.
so stage presence. I have a friend, Dr. Bruce, and many of you know him. He's from Canada, and he's a very wise man. But he talks, and he has taught a lot of us about getting on the stage with your other actors. And this can be Mrs. Clauses and Santas, elves too. But sharing the stage together and how well it works. Stage presence. So, can you kind of elaborate on that? Because I know you're really good at this with interacting with other actors, and I've never once seen you have to be in front of us and doing your thing and pushing us aside or anything like that. It's always equal. So, tell me about how you feel about that.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a big thing. I think some people will struggle with, and it's a lot of it's just kind of letting go of your ego, right? There's two parts in my mind for stage presence. One is you're filling a role, right? So I'm playing this character, and whatever that character may be, I'd either be, maybe I'm the main role, maybe I'm an extra. It doesn't matter. I'm still filling a role somewhere to fill the scene. And I'm talking in terms of like on stage specifically. But hey, we're trying to create something together as a whole to give to the audience. So for me, if I'm trying to upstage my other actors, I'm taking away from the whole scene. I'm making it about myself. And something they can't teach, especially in like improv, is the term yes and. So the idea is you don't say no because a no's a stop. A yes, and then building on it, even if something, hey, I don't necessarily agree with what you're doing, say, oh yeah, sure, and now we're going to move it this way to try and change things. But it's never trying to make a hard break, because typically then you've got discord, and anyone who's watching you on stage, they can tell it, hey, something went off here, and they're not quite meshing right. Um, and the other part with that is not only are you playing the character, but hey, we're doing it as a group, right? So I'm playing one piece of the cog, and even if I'm the main character, yes, I'm a big cog, but I'm not the only cog that's making it work. And so, knowing that I've got other people who have my back on stage, and we're all working together to make it succeed. And if something goes wrong, half the fun is, oh, it went wrong. Cool. How can we incorporate this and make it even better to what it would have been before? A good example of this actually happened to me when we were doing Hunchback. There's a scene where the main priest would rip my medal off my chest, which was like my captain's sigil, essentially what it was. Well, one day he went to grab it, but I put tape on the magnetic clasp so it would stay on better, so it wouldn't just fall off me. Well, he went to grab it and it wouldn't come off. And so he just kind of grabbed it and then walked off. And in the moment, I was like, okay, well, he needs to hold it so he can give it to the next person later in the scene. So I just grabbed it and I broke it off myself. And then I made eye contact with him to make sure, and kind of made the motion like I'm going to throw it before I threw it, kind of telegraphing. So he knew I was going to toss it across stage to him. And this happened like the second live performance we had. And
Wow.
he loved it so much, and the director loved it so much. They're like, no, that's what you're doing for the rest of the show. Like,
Oh,
it's
wow.
part of it. And so something that was initially, it was technically a failure at the time, became something more than what it was. And so that's what happens when you're staying in the moment, you're playing your character, and you're also playing with the other actors and know that, hey, they'll support me as long as they at least have a general idea of what I'm trying to do and trying to stay in your scene. And you can make these beautiful moments that actually are better than what you had scripted out and practiced and rehearsed. Oh, hey, this thing happened. But as long as we all know we're on the same page and it's not, well, I'm going to do this to make it all about me, and know that, hey, we're going to make this happen together, now it becomes something so much better, I think.
I think that's why we get so much practice in the community theater or theater period, is because of working as like a team, doing that back and forth. And the way I look at it with the Santa Clauses I work with, the different men or elves or whatever, we're building a story together. And we're parts of the story. And the goal is to get a really good story, what we're doing, what we're producing here. And, everybody's got to give and take and work together to do that, to make it actually a positive outcoming, I think. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this is a good question. I heard you refer to this. I was listening to you a lot, obviously. But it's because my mind never shuts off, so I'm always thinking about shows and all these things that I'm going to do and how I'm going to put them together and teach people with things I learn. You said I think it was I think after the bank scene, not when we were tellers, but we were just standing out front on the stage. And after that, we talked, and you said something about you had thought about your character, and you knew what the character you were portraying. Even though we didn't get names, we didn't get a lot of direction. I think that's what we had been talking about. We didn't get a lot of direction. It was left up to us. Mm-hmm. He trusts us, I think, is why, thankfully. Yeah. But you had taken time and really thought about who you wanted to be on stage. I was really impressed with that. And I know that I have so much experience, time as Mrs. Claus Vintage, that I walk a certain way. I walk in my boots. I carry my dress a certain way. All the my curtsies, it's all part of Mrs. Claus, and luckily the same time period kind of stuff. So my character is kind of out of that, what I do. But tell me about how you created the character that you came up with for this role in Mary Poppins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or any other character. How do you do that? How do you come up with it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I do this with a lot of my characters, and regardless if it's a major character, like if it's a major character, I'll do more in depth with it. But even if I'm a minor role, or I'm a side character, it doesn't mean I'm any less important. It doesn't mean they don't have a personality. Like just because I'm watching a show and I see an extra kind of walk across the scene, it doesn't mean they didn't create that character to do this one thing, right? And so the bank scene is a great example. The big reason why I kind of got more into his head was because I got a piece of direction from the director. I had to do a certain thing.
Yep.
When they said Miss Andrews was mentioned, who was the really bad nanny, and so obviously he wanted to make it stick that, hey, all these very serious adults always had the same nanny, and so they were scared of her because that was part of the story. So I took this little nugget and I was like, okay, well, he's scared of her, so he must have had the same upbringing as the dad and the bank manager and all these people, and they're all these very strict, like serious men in the banking industry. So
Right.
okay, I took that. I was like, okay, so he must have dealt with this. There's this bit of fear there, but also he has to be straight laced, and he's all about being very proper and precise. It's all precision and order. And so, what I would do is, especially for that scene, or even the other bank scene, I use the same character for both. Just how I played him was a little bit different, but we had a bit of a prompt. I could hear the music going, and as soon as that music started, and I'm about 3 feet off of the wing before you hit the stage, I'm already in character. I'm already. I think you guys might have seen a couple times. I help the stage crew move everything off. I
Yep.
move into position. I take a breath, and I'm already sliding into this person. And as soon as I'm walking off, I'm there. I'm in him, and you're right. Like your gait changes, the way you hold yourself changes, because like I know how I am. I'm a pretty jovial person. I'm pretty relaxed in general, but I knew this guy had to walk differently. Like I've got more of a not even a saunter. I've got kind of this kind of relaxed gait, and he had almost a straight roll step, like glide gait, very strict steps. And so doing the steps and kind of getting into this mindset not only had a couple of details about the character, but doing that helped me stay in the moment as the show was going on and as we were doing that scene. We only in that scene for maybe a couple of minutes because we did like 4 or 5 verses and then some lines and then we were off. So I was only on there for a minute, but I felt like doing that little bit helped everybody around be in that mindset. And so my interactions with you or with Nick or with the other adults was in that mindset of this person. So I'm interacting with them as this other character. It's not me, it's this other character. And so it helped everyone kind of stay in this moment that we were creating. And I think for everyone I talked to who watched the show, they, and I have to just ask about it because, there's a funny moment that happens. And like, yeah, you guys were all engaged and like you guys were talking and it was a certain like thing they got out of it. That's really what I was aiming for was them to see that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna. I don't know if I said to you when we were talking during all this that my friend Betsy, that I think is on here right now, I probably told you, but she always says that 5 steps before you are hitting the door or the curtain, she says 5 steps. You're in character those 5 steps before you hit that threshold of whatever it may be, and with anything, Santa's, Mrs. Claus's, characters on a stage, get your head on. And I will say, I saw you do that because I walked behind you and you went in front. And there was one person usually between us. And you were all, what you just said is how you carried yourself onto the stage. And there was different times we went on stage, but you were definitely in that character at that point. And it does take some time to really come up with it. There was times I was surprised. I've done a lot of work on my character for Mrs. Claus, just huge, deep stuff. And there was times I was really surprised that I felt myself falling into that during the show. And it's a comfort thing. It's kind of weird, but it's enjoyable too. It's enjoyable because it even gives me more freedom because I don't have to be that character. I can be this other character. So anyways, that I really appreciate you talking about that because it is important. And I took notice when you said that. And I think we tried to help the children. Some of the kids are afraid of us, I think, when we're on stage. They're like, oh, I'm not looking over there. They're going to make me totally be something I'm not comfortable with because I don't think they've got to that point where they're in that. Some of them are, and they're delightful out there. And we usually know which ones we can look at, and they'll just eat it up, and they interact with us, and just, or they're grabbing onto us when we're walking out the curtains because they want to play that, yeah. So I guess we are teaching them in those ways too for character. Let's see. Right now, let's go back to this question I asked earlier in the show. And let me see if we have anybody that guessed this. Did we have anybody guessing this? Angela, I don't know if she's on here right now. I think we did. Kane Smith, good job. Yeah, I think we did. Paul Anderson, thank you, Paul. It's one of my favorite songs. I don't have any big prizes for that, but I'm acknowledging you and that little bit of effort you put into this to maybe make everybody think about that song for a minute and bring up some memories and thoughts. And I'm all about the senses and creating memories in life. So, and that would be humanity, because we can all go back and do stuff like that together. It doesn't matter where we come from or where we're at now or anything like that. So with that, let's, what time is it? Would we like to run the sponsors, Angela, real quick? I am going to welcome back. Those are our sponsors, and there's some great boots on there too, by the way. He's a great guy. Let me go through here and make sure that we've said hello to everybody. Sal, hello Sal, and thanks for joining us tonight. I met with Sal and his wife, and they made me a beautiful picture that I will have on my wall. This one right here, they did for me last year. And now I've got another one, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. So thank you, Sal and Lisa. Hello, Dana. Thanks for joining us. We have a question from Mary. Do you find props are useful to keep the attention of the kids, or do you focus only on the presents? I think communication is the key with the children, I think, and how you do it. Props can only add to it, and it helps when they're paying attention to the reading of the book, but usually it's not that simple. Usually I start out a little bit before I even read a book, talking to them about certain things and get their attention. I read the book, and during the book, I show props that might pertain to different pages, if this is what you're asking me, Mary. And that usually works, but I think it takes a little bit of a lot of things, not just props, to show children. And I'm sure you know that, Mary. She's a great Mrs. Claus, by the way, in Michigan. We didn't really use props on the show, really, our own, anything like that, other than jelly beans were a big hit with the kids because
You love
I
those
was handing out
snacks.
jelly beans.
Well, I got those chocolates too from Britain. I hand those out. And they were gone in about 10 seconds. So I hand off to was it
Yeah,
Brady? Yeah.
those were very cool.
Mhm.
Very cool because they were from British or what? Scottish?
Well,
British.
British. I mean, they're English Scottish chocolates.
Okay.
Yeah. So just happened to, hey, here guys, let's try these out and have a taste of their. Like I said too, I mean, my folks are from, or my dad's from Scotland, so that's where that comes from. Is I grew up with all that stuff. So, oh, we're
So,
gonna Mary Poppins. No sweat. I got just stuff for you guys.
I know I love the shortbread were my favorite.
Absolutely.
Um, and just so the audience knows, during the shows we have an adult area, because there's a lot of children, and sometimes we just need a little bit of quiet time, especially me. But so we decorate the tables, and this year it was striped tablecloths and brought all the food that you could taste from actually where the characters were from. So that was super cool. Last year we had Mamma Mia and the tropical theme, and that was fun too. So it's partly what we do to add to the fun of everything. Um, let's see, what else do we have here? Randy is asking me, and I hope he's still on here. He wants to know the song. So, Why Do Birds Suddenly Appear? They Long to Be Close to You by the Carpenters. And it was during the 70s. So, there you go. And then I think that's all we had on there. And Betsy's on here. So talking about jelly beans and chocolate, this leads us into the next topic. I've always called it, and I still call it when I'm performing in December, November, October, the theater diet, because
Yeah.
you have to be very careful what you're eating. I do, anyways, just to feel good and not heavy. And when you're performing or on stage in front of people, you don't want any problems. So, what can you tell us what you would suggest for actors or performers?
That's a good question. So the biggest problem I always have, especially when we're doing a big show and you're going into like the big push week just before the show hits, and even when the show is going on, and you're, hey, I've got to be on, and I'm running extra rehearsals, and I'm constantly gone from home, so I don't have access to my fridge, and so like, eating, always staying active, and have enough fuel to make things happen. And I mean, I am notorious for basically living off of like protein bars and protein shakes or whatever I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
But usually, the biggest thing I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and also with my girlfriend about this, was that we were doing Hunchback. All of us lost like 10, 15 pounds because we were doing intense choreography, both dance and I had fight choreography I was doing. I was wearing armor on stage, and so you're sweating like crazy, and we're sucking down water and Gatorade, but we weren't eating the best diet, right? And so you can definitely feel the fatigue from that. So a lot of times I'd finally get home and I try and like make something that wasn't just. I didn't like eating fast food because I always felt like when I eat a lot of fast food, I just feel heavy and I don't sleep well, and I have a hard time the next day. So I like having stuff at home that's a little bit healthier. Like even when we did our group meal with everybody, I was big on, hey, I'm bringing veggies in because we
Yeah.
need something green and some nutrients in our body because we've been busting our butts for so long. We need to make sure
I think I ate all the tomatoes. I was
I don't blame
deficient on vitamin C or whatever's in that.
and that's it too. And so for me, when I'm in a show, a lot of times I'll bring a lot of like different like bars, right? It's something that I can, if I get off stage and I've got enough time, I can grab a bar. I can eat something that's not necessarily like, it's not great, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
It's not, something greasy or over processed. It's a bar, so it's not the healthiest thing, but still you can pick and choose.
Right, right.
But I can get some fuel in my body, so I'm not having a sugar crash. I'm not, having, just a caloric deficiency, so I don't have any fuel in my tank. And that's the biggest thing for me was that I learned it early on was I would do these shows and I was only drinking water or drinking Gatorade, and yeah, I was hydrated, but there was something in my tank. I wasn't,
Yeah.
you know, using my full potential because I'm running on empty, if not negative. And so having something small that I can snack on here and there to at least keep my energy up goes a long ways, opposed to just, hey, I'm gonna push through it and have a big meal before bed and then I'm not gonna sleep well.
You
So
know, what's funny is I think I noticed through the years that I drink less caffeine during the musical stuff. Like, because you hear people that are just starting to do these things and they're drinking a bunch of caffeine, which I did at the beginning too, but not. I sleep back because I need to sleep and to keep up the energy. I did binge on jelly beans during the whole. I never do that, but man, they were so good. We had two shows on Saturday, and somehow I can make it through all November and December without any candy. But these musicals kick my butt, I guess, more. So what I did is I brought a big thing of jelly beans in and a little scoop. So the kids would walk by and see us, and we were just being nice, and we'd sneak them out to the kids, everybody who cared. So, but yeah, that and protein drinks is one thing I do too,
yeah,
and lots of soup. I don't soup,
well,
lots of soup because it's just easy.
mhm.
Canned soup usually because I don't have time to cook. So let's see. Somebody has a question. Joseph Cunningham, he's a Santa. He says, when developing and imagining a new character, what is your discipline or process to achieve that character?
So for me, whenever I'm designing a new character, especially if I've got a script, right? If I've got a character who I've got some lines with, I'll do a deep dive with it. I'll take the context in there, and you've got the words that the script's giving you, right? It's saying, "Hey, this is what I'm saying. Here's what's going on." But you can pick up the subtext clues within that. You can realize, okay, they're saying a lot of things repeatedly. Okay, so this must mean something, or they keep bringing up certain references. That gives me some hint on who they are. My most recent one I really liked was the Solar Remembers, and that was just a script read, and we ran it as a group maybe 3 or 4 times, and so a lot of it was just me on my own and just kind of reading through the script and developing the character. And I realized that this guy had more of a comedic um, mindset. He was more about kind of making jokes and kind of poking at the other character because he was a super serious character. And so I kind of knew, all right, we're going to play it this way. And thankfully, my other actor, who was my counterpart, I'd worked with him before. And so I knew how he played. So I knew if I played it this way and he was playing it that way, we could have a lot of fun with that back and forth. Um, and that's the concept, like, hey, here's a strict, like, rule of this. If there's something like with the extra stuff, I'm taking context on where I'm at. If I'm going to be, I know I'm going to be dressed in a certain way or it's a certain time period, I take those little contexts and I build something from there. A good example would be the banker. I knew I had a little bit from the director of what this character needed to do. He wanted me to do a certain thing. Cool. I built things off of that. And so I do that with almost all my characters. I find some context. I find some reason for why they would behave a certain way, whether it's the period that they're being portrayed in, the scenes they're being portraying in. Something that happened for me when we were years back when we did the Living History village with the Vikings. I knew that I had context. I knew that this was a Viking village. We weren't necessarily like straight warriors. This is how we survive as a community. And my job was as a woodworker because that's something else I do as a side hobby. Is I love carving and creating things with wood. So I knew that really well. So I researched, well, how did woodworking happen back in the Iron Age, essentially? And I learned a lot about that. And then how would we make that happen with context inside the village? Well, what was I making? Well, I was making a lot of spoons. I was making a lot of plates. I was making a lot of bowls. and just how that worked. And so I developed this character of, well, why am I working with wood? Well, one, obviously my character was good at it and liked doing it, but also I was doing it to kind of support the community. And so it was always a very friendly conversation with everybody. I was always there kind of um, going on with, this is how we're doing this all as community to survive. Like if I don't have a cup for us to drink out of, well, guess what? You're using your hands, which is, there's an issue with that sanitation issues. And so I guess the best way to narrow it all down to is just kind of learning the context, and then once you figure out the context and you create the shape of who your character is stepping into that character and learning how to stay in that bubble of who they are throughout your performance. And again, that can be hard sometimes, especially if things come at you and your bubbles kind of shake. But like I said before, just because something goes off of what you planned on doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means, hey, cool, we have an opportunity to play in that character in a way you weren't planning on. And for me, whenever that happens, that gives me a chance to take that character and maybe it starts a small little ball. Now it's expanded out a bit, and now we have a chance to actually go through and do stuff with it, which is really great.
That's why I was excited when we were told to become families on stage.
Oh yeah.
Because then we had more direction and we could interact.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, that's a cool thing to hear. I love that. Love that. And even when I'm working with Santa, it builds my character because he's part of it. So it has so much more to work with. And if he's a good Santa working back with me and the improv and all of that, it's just magical.
100%.
For sure. Yeah. So I hope that answered his question. Okay, Betsy says, I think having a living history background is a great parallel to the Claus community. The process is similar. She's actually did that herself.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
She was in Williamsburg, and she's got some cool projects going on right now too with that type of stuff. So she knows, and that's where I've learned a lot from her, from what you're saying, for both. Okay, Randy says, Randy's from Traverse City. He's a Santa up in Traverse City. He's a nice, great guy. As Santa Claus with a real beard, you have to be ready to jump in character at all times, however you're dressed. So he looks like Santa. Doesn't matter what color shirt he has on, basically. He's a big guy, big beard. And I've seen him in action, so good job, Randy. Jeff, hello. Jeff Wirtz is on here. Jeff is who I work with all over in Ohio and all over Michigan. Randy, hi. I'm glad you jumped on here. I saw you earlier on your show. Good job today. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so let's move on. This goes by so fast. It's terrible. Let's see, what other... I had some really good stuff on here I was wanting to get through. Okay, I want to discuss some of the meaningful moments with children. I want to talk about when the kids... Okay, in theater, you can kind of... This is the same every time. There's certain lulls. There's certain times when we get tuned up by the director because everybody's getting tired before we get to the certain point. But then there's something happens and the kids start leaning, like you said earlier, leaning toward us and looking up to us. And it's glorious. It's magical. It's amazing. And it tells us, I guess, tells me why we're there. Is when that stuff, that's our reward for all those weeks of everything. So tell me, what do you think about that? Do you agree with me? Add to this?
No, I agree. I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, it happens. Sometimes it's gradual and it kind of builds up over the time there, and then sometimes it's sudden. A good example is, I mean, for me, it happened. For one of them was when we started doing bows. We had, I don't remember the little girl's name off the top of my head, but I was in front of her for bows, and she was next to me. And then we went out. We would do our bows and hold hands, and then we go back to our positions. And then she wouldn't let go of my hand for the rest of the time. And
I
she was
didn't
like,
know that. That was
yeah.
Sophie.
And,
Sophie.
oh, Sophie, yeah. And so I was like, okay, hold your hand as long as you want. And then it became this thing. And then, we were waiting, and she would track me as soon as we were for bow. I was like, hey, you're right. Well, I gotta take care of this real quick, honey. 1 second, I'll be right there. And I take care of pulling set off, then come back in and slide her in position. And it was funny because, it went from, okay, cool, like this is my safe human. This is my adult that's got me. To like, hey, I wish you guys were my parents, and I'm like, oh, that's great, honey. I mean, like, I appreciate that. I think your own parents are fine, but like, I'm happy to be your parent for the show right now, and kind of be here and be that safe person for you.
Okay, so I got to back that story up. I got some to add to that one real quick. Sophie was in a part with me, and we were flying a kite in the caliper way up, and it was just 4 of us out there, and 2 adults, 2 children. And she argued with me constantly about everything that we did. But she would usually just act, and she was getting better and better every time we'd go out there. I could tell, and I was trying to tell her, good job. It's really looking good, and you're doing a good job acting. So she was trying harder and whatever. So Doug was in front of me in bows, and then Sophie's between us, and she was hanging on me, hugging me, because he wasn't in line yet, so you were helping with props or something. So she's all over me, and okay, and like saying stuff about I wish that you were my mom and all that type of stuff. The kids get to that certain point, and I said, honey, you're just tired. You don't want me. I mean, whatever. And then as soon as Doug comes up there, he's got his back to us, and she's hugs him like a bear or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the funniest. I'll never forget that. And then that's when she wanted to be your child after that point. That was one of the coolest moments. So I'll always, I don't know, appreciate her for that too.
Oh,
I guess. And that was at the bows at the very end of the last show, and she's doing that. So pretty cool. So I guess that is a reflection of the responsibilities performers carry, whether you're on stage, whether you're a props person, whether you're a Santa Claus. There's a lot of responsibilities that goes with all of this for the children. And I'm taking it back. That's why I think we really need to understand why we do these things, why we put all this time into building characters, why. Just to keep it on the right direction, keep it in the right direction, and for the children. Let's see what we have here. Don says, it never ceases to amaze the trust that children will put in a person. He prays that he never violates that trust. It's one of my biggest fears as a Santa. I'm sure you won't, Don. You put a lot of work into what you do. Joseph said, thanks, Doug. I find that my Santa has a different persona as a mall Santa when Santa is in a home visit. Then corporate appearances are often bigger, so while the core is there are nuances that require thinking of one's version of Santa within the context you are in. So I appreciate the concept of context as a character develops in the context of the children who is interacting with. They are all different. I love that. Yes, they're all different. And I can say that all the different things I do performing as Mrs. Claus, the different venues, it's a little bit different. It depends on the outside, what's going on around you. Everything has to be taken in effect because it will affect your character too. So you got to do improv and go with it. So let's see. I guess the one thing I want to, one of the last things here is I want to mention, and I think this should, for everybody in the whole world, basically, the thankfulness that I saw in the musical this year, the thankfulness I saw working at Children's Wonderland with 3,000 kids a day, families. the thankfulness I saw from our events planners when they talked to us in January. This year for Mary Poppins, I received thank yous from students, high school students, thanking me for everything I've done since they were little, and now they're graduating, and that I was a part of that. I mean, tearjerker stuff here. And I will say, I use the same bag every year. I reached in to clean it out this year, and I found a note I had not seen before from, I don't know when, a couple years ago. It was another thank you. So that was a cool little discovery this year. But I just love that, and I love our director at the musical theater teaches these children to do this, and they do it, and I hope they keep doing it in life. Doug, I want to thank you for having a great impact on me and others around you. You're a leader on the stage and somebody we can trust and rely on. So I wanted to say publicly that I really thank you for everything you did this year too. For me too, because I really did appreciate it. And it made it so much fun. So much fun. And that's the way it should be. So, anything else you would like to add to the show or about character or?
Well, one, I want to thank you for that. I mean, that's huge. I appreciate it. And I mean, again, I really appreciate, the fact that I got to work with you, not only with this show, but the previous shows and future shows. I mean, I'm planning to keep doing stuff together, collaborating wherever we can. It's nice to find someone who understands kind of not only, acting in general, but also like appreciating kind of what it gives to the people you're doing it for, if that makes sense. I think we talked about that a little bit. I want to make sure we touched on it a touch here, was that when I'm acting, it's not, do I enjoy doing it? Oh, I love it. I love acting. I love being in front of a crowd. I love interacting with people in my character. But for me personally, I think the big thing is that, it's giving back to them. It's like, hey, look, I'm doing this for you guys. I'm here to entertain you. I'm here to give you a story or portray this character that fulfills something either you're looking for or maybe didn't realize. And that's really the joy of this, is that kind of not only playing together with my fellow actors, but it's also interacting with the crowd and providing to them something they wouldn't necessarily have, which is, I think, the beauty of the arts in general, is that, hey, we're all human. Hey, how can we experience the human condition in better ways, in different ways? And so I think that's a good thing to kind of think about as a closing.
And I heard you say that this year, and it made me think about that, because I hadn't really thought about giving to the audience. Yeah, so thank you for that. Yeah. So, anything else or any?
That's all I have, unless anyone has other questions.
So, if I'm ever in need of a Santa Claus, you need to keep that in mind. I keep telling you, we would have so much fun. Sorry, I know Jeff's on here. He's going, what?
I'm just standing out with that.
So I will be coming to your show in April and getting on that, and hopefully bringing Sally with me. And
absolutely, you should.
Yeah, I want to get some others, so that'll be a fun evening. So I appreciate you very much. Let's see if we have anything else I need to cover on here. I want to thank not only you, but I want to thank Angela for all your work. And if anybody's noticed, I have a new logo and some new promo stuff I've been working on, and Angela's helping me get it going here. I will not be here next Monday, but we will be here the following Monday. Easter's just too much. Families, you need to be with your families, so we're just gonna not do that Monday. But we'll put some promos out and have a great guest and all that type of stuff. So I want to thank TNL Network Broad Productions. I appreciate all of you and everything you do for us, Bob and Scott and Spangle and all of you. And I think I've got only one more thing to say that's really important that I always try to end my shows with. Everything we do is for the children, the ones before us, the ones beside us, and the ones yet to come. So those are the words we need to think about and keep in our hearts as we move on in life and through life. So thank you for joining us tonight. And Doug, I'll see you in the green room with Angela here shortly. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Happy Easter.
Happy